Well, good morning again, everyone. This time with the waterhole sounds down. It's difficult sometimes here to judge how loud it is actually, but I'll try to remember to keep it down when I'm making announcements so that people can clearly hear. Today we start WeChat. It's 10 o'clock. Simon and Rex are still on the way back. They have to first pick up all the equipment and then they'll come back here. I'm sure they'll pop in a little while. Before we get started, of course, during the chat you can also send all your questions in on our social network, wildearth.ning.com. Go to We Shows and then under there you can find WeChat. Or you can send your questions to finalcontrol@wildearth.tv. And we always look forward to your participation in making this hour quite interesting. Especially as, like today, as you can see, there's very little going on at the waterhole. That's because of the weather, it's definitely not as hot as it was yesterday. The temperature at the moment is about just over 20 degrees, whereas yesterday it was at some point was 41. So it's quite a big difference. I think in Fahrenheit that would be something like 70 versus 110 or something like that. So that's significant. Also, I just checked the weather this morning, the rain meter, and actually we had about 8 millimeters of rain, so that's quite good. That's about, so that's about double the amount that we got on our last thunderstorm. And as you actually could see on the morning drive earlier, for those of you that watched, the Treehouse Dam actually had quite some water in it, because the mud there is quite thick and quite solid, so any water that runs down actually stays there. So that shows you if we get a couple more nice thunderstorms like we had last night, then things are going to change very, very quickly, and we're all looking forward to that. As Rickson said, maybe we'll still get some rain, more rain today. You never know. Actually, I hadn't expected it yesterday, but I'm no weather expert in that sense. But it was very, very, very welcome, because at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, it was still in the high 30s, and then suddenly the temperature dropped quite dramatically and we got a thunderstorm which was spectacular. That was actually quite good. Most of that 8 millimeters fell within the first hour of the rainstorm, and then we had another maybe 1 millimeter a bit later in the night. So that was quite welcome. And also now in the FCC the airco is off, and it's still quite pleasant. Yesterday when we had a power failure, I think it was around 7 o'clock, then the airco also switched off, and it's suddenly almost like sitting in a tropical rainforest. It was so hot and humid still. So we're very thankful for having this airco working, even though when it is so hot outside it still feels quite clammy inside. I wouldn't like to imagine what it would be without any airco here, and on top of it all the computers producing extra heat still. I think it would have been close to 50 degrees inside here, so thank God for that airco. So just as a little introduction, so let's see if there are any questions coming in. Maybe also just as a reminder, for those of you that want to check the weather, you can go to our social network, wildearth.ning.com. On the top you'll find the resources tab, and then the first option there is called weather. That's actually where, if you click on that, you will get the current weather situation, which has a temperature, a humidity, wind speed and direction, and also the amount of rain we had over the last 24 hours, which again fortunately is now off zero. So that is quite good. So let's see, that was what I had to say. Let's see what you guys have to ask. I think everybody's still making coffee after the walk now. Oh, there's a question from Vicky actually, what kind of foods I miss most. There's lots of food that I definitely like when I go back to Holland. Dropjes or licorice is actually one of them, definitely. But I do once in a while go back to Holland, and then I can bring back some. It's mostly things we put on bread, very specific, sometimes sweet stuff. It's a little bit like chocolate flakes and things like that. I really like that. Other than that, Actually, the one thing I do miss most is, but it's actually not from Holland, it's more from Belgium. It's the very special Belgian beers that are quite difficult to get here, and if you can get them, they're quite expensive. So that is just for special occasions. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see actually from the waterhole as well. I'll switch to the other cam quickly now. If you look in the background a little bit, you can see some puddles having formed, and you can also see definitely that the ground and the soil has a different, much darker color than it even had yesterday. That's because of everything is a bit damp and sometimes even wet in areas. You can see here there's some puddles standing there, and this was also what Rexon said earlier during the drive. That'll probably mean that animals can find water in various places in our game reserve, and that would make it less likely that they would come to the waterhole. But I'm sure some will show up at some point during the day. If it's just for a wallow, or these small puddles are not big enough to give yourself a good mud bath yet. So for that reason, they definitely will have to come still to the waterhole. So there might be a little less traffic than there was, for instance, yesterday, but quite positive some of the animals will show up at some point. But it's also what happens if it's not going to be a very hot day. Animals are often quite well attuned to that. Then they have a little bit of a later start because they don't need to get their drink and a lot of their grazing in before it gets actually really too hot and they have to go lie in the shade. So today is probably going to be a relaxed and a chilled day for both for us and also for the animals. And as you can see, the wind is still blowing a little bit, which actually adds makes it actually even more pleasant than it would have been otherwise. So actually, it looks to be quite a nice day, and definitely quite a nice change from the last couple of days that have been quite hot. But having said that, even hot days have their good sides. For instance, yesterday morning I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do for the WeLearn, but after the walk it was so hot I quickly took a dip in the pool, and I found lots of the insects actually that I showed in the afternoon. They were caught up in there in the morning, so actually I found them there, and then thought, okay, that would be interesting to use for the WeLearn. So actually in that sense, it was the heat also had a positive implication. As you can see, it's still very quiet in the surroundings of the Gowrie waterhole. But imagine with a couple more of those rains, or well, maybe more than a couple, all that area that you can see the black soil now, if that also gets filled up, like Treehouse Dam is starting to fill up now with water, that would be a magnificent sight. I'm sure we'd get lots of animals coming all the way there if that would happen, but we're definitely going to still need more rain for that to happen.